When we are less direct, mentioning other people or situations, the person's response or reaction will typically reveal an insight into how he thinks. Remember, our goal as conversational archaeologists is not to try to diagnose a psychiatric disorder, but rather to create a profile which is reliable enough for us to determine whether or not the person is emotionally healthy. Just what is normal anyway? Assuming that there are no glaringly obvious indicators of mental illness, such as hallucinations or suicide attempts, clinicians often face a difficult task when trying to draw the line between normal and abnormal. At what point does eccentricity become a disorder? In general, when a person's behavior begins to cause significant personal distress and impairs his ability to function effectively at home or work, it is safe to conclude that there may be a significant mental health problem. But there are many degrees of distress and impairment. There's an age-old riddle that goes, how far can you go into a forest? The answer is halfway. Because after you reach the middle, you're beginning to come out. Engaging emotional well-being, we're often looking for the middle of the forest, balance and moderation. When exhibited in the extreme, practically any attitude or behavior, no matter how admirable or reasonable, begins to drift into that gnarly thicket of unhealthy. For example, cleanliness is a virtue until someone becomes so obsessed with being clean that his behavior becomes compulsive and unhealthy. Demonstrating a degree of openness and receptiveness is a positive and healthy trait, of course. So is being appropriately cautious and reserved. But when we move into the extreme of either of these two traits, we're drifting into questionable territory. Dedication to exercise is a positive, healthy attribute. However, running with a broken foot because we feel we must get our exercise in is clearly not a good sign. Such extreme behavior places a person in the red zone. Almost any admirable trait has an unhealthy counterpart, as demonstrated with the following examples. 1. Being affectionate is positive, while distant or aloof is not. Excessively clingy is unhealthy. 2. Showing courage is positive, while cowering is not. Being brazen is unhealthy. 3. Having determination is positive, while being indecisive and unsure is not. Close-mindedness is unhealthy. 4. Being flexible is positive, while being rigid and stubborn is not. Lacking backbone is unhealthy. And finally, 5. Trusting others is positive, while being paranoid is not. Being too naive is unhealthy. Therefore, each of the following footprints contains filters to screen out the unhealthy extreme. In assessing our subject, we should check to see that his attitude or behavior is balanced. If he gets caught in the filter, then he would not receive a positive mark for that trait. Instead, he should be given a -2, or -1 if the expression of the extreme filtered behavior is milder.